This massive mural can be seen from the Farmington Canal Trail. It depicts 26 butterflies flying towards an eternal sun. The two people are accused of vandalizing this, and they've turned themselves into police.
It's terrible that somebody would even think to do that.
Frank and Gail Castiola walk the Farmington Canal Trail at least twice a week. Each time they pass this mural in honor of the 26 lives lost in the Sandy Hook school shooting. In November, it was vandalized with graffiti.
No words to describe the feelings. That's just absolutely despicable, awful. I can't understand somebody doing such a thing.
Southington police say 20-year-old Lorenzo Cavallo and 21-year-old Gina Lombardi turned themselves in for the act. Both are charged with criminal mischief and conspiracy to commit criminal mischief in the first degree. The two are accused of spray painting over some of the butterflies and the sun. The 6 large butterflies represents the adults killed in the 2012 shooting, and the 20 smaller ones are depictions of the child victims.
Universal sun that is, symbolizes love and warmth and hopefully a great life after.
Police say Lombardi was apologetic in her interview, stating that she didn't know the significance of the mural. Mary DeCrose understands that the random act of violence may not have been targeting the memory of the Sandy Hook victims, but seeing the mural she helped create in such a way was hard to take.
It was devastating because people who know what this mural is about, it's sacred, has a sacredness to it.
DeCroix and fellow designer Ryan Christensen got to work quickly to repair the mural that was originally unveiled during Southington's First Kindness Day in 2013. People in the community created a GoFundMe to help cover the costs of repairs.
Same with paint, it can always be repaired. And bad things can always be fixed, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Cavallo and Lombardi have already both been processed and appeared in court. The owner of this garage says that it took about $2,500 to repair. In Southington, Dave Puglisi, Fox 61 News.